NHL insider Elliotte Friedman said last night that the Edmonton Oilers were in Montreal scouting all three of their goaltenders for a potential trade. We'll be breaking that down. Plus, Coach Marty calls out the Habs for being too soft. That plus a little kind of fortunate, kind of unfortunate Carey Price update. So stick around for all that on this episode of Habs Digest. But before we get into the video, I asked you guys this yesterday. I'll ask you again. Just leave a like down below. It takes 2 seconds to do it. It really helps promote the video, and we'd really appreciate it. Helps push this to all other Habs fans that maybe don't get a chance to watch us. Let's jump right in, Jesse, and we got to talk a bit about Carey Price to start. And he has started his, I think it's a multi-part series with Sportsnet, and he sat down, or NHL.com, not Sportsnet, my apologies. He sat down in part 1 with NHL.com, and here's what he had to say. He said he misses playing the games, and that's probably the biggest thing he misses. They said he's not officially retired. His contract runs through 25-26, but he said he'd waive his no-move clause if his team found a taker for his contract. Quote, "For sure, any way I can help now. I'm still part of the team, and if I can help in any way, I'm here." This guy is a Hab through and through, always has been, always will be. It'll be weird maybe if he does get moved to see another team listed as a team he played for, but he'd retire as a Montreal Canadian. What do you think about this, Jesse? Like, the fact that he's so committed to the Habs organization that he'd be willing to move his large contract just to help the team.
What I like so much about this is he's still part of the team, not just on paper, but as much as he would love to get on the ice, Carey Price desperately wants to help this team just in any way that he can. And obviously this isn't out of character for him. He's sacrificed for many years, his body and everything else like that for the betterment of this team. So it's just continuing, he's not on the ice, but just whatever he can do right now. And it just really just reminds, what a class act that he can, he's just letting Kent know if there's anything I can do on my end, to help this team, I'm all here for it.
Yeah, 100%. I want to hear from you guys down in the comments down below. Would you be open to, look, I understand moving his contract would help the team a lot. The Habs weren't shy in doing that with Shea Weber, right? But at the same time, Carey Price, it just feels weird to see him on another team. And while it would help the Habs, it's very interesting. It'd be weird to see him on another team. So let us know down below. Would you be for this, or would you be against it just on principle? You just say, I don't even care. He's earned that money. Keep him as a Hab for life. Let us know. Let's move on to the second topic, and we got a lot to talk about here. Coach Marty calls out the team. I mean, look, he's been such a positive boost of energy to the Habs. He's been saying, yeah, we had a bad night, but we had good moments here, and I think this game against Boston maybe finally kind of got to him. As he says, as Go Habs Go 31, amazing poster on Reddit. Thank you very much for always putting these quotes out there. Appreciate you. Quote, "It's not that we don't work. We didn't work well. And I thought we were kind of soft, too." And you know what? We kind of thought the same thing too, Jesse, especially when guys like Arber, Xhekaj are out of the lineup. It just feels like this Montreal Canadiens team doesn't have as much of a fighting edge as they sometimes do otherwise. So, I mean, what were your thoughts? You said Coach Marty called the team soft. Do you agree with it? Because I kind of feel like I do.
Harsh words, but bang on the money, right? Sometimes you need to be honest with what's going on in your assessment. I mean, we talked about it on the, the post-game Habs Digest is, after that first goal, they just looked like a different team. They were just so much more hesitant, didn't want to make mistakes, but they were also hesitant to play the game that's in front of them that Martin St. Louis talks about so much. And for me, it's while these are big words, it's they did kind of warn us that there would be more accountability this year, that the team, it's in another year of its rebuild, we're advancing, and now it's for the players to start being more accountable. It's less for kind of the coaches to dictate the culture and more for the players to really do that. So I kind of like that because it shows we're at our next phase of the rebuild, even though it's not the nicest, not the best thing to hear. For sure, this is he's trying to send a message out to your team because no players, do you think Brendan Gallagher likes being, likes hearing his team getting called soft? Obviously not. This is going to light a huge fire, not just under Brendan Gallagher, but so many players on this team, right? So he's trying to get a response, and I think it's okay to hold us up to, to a higher standard. And I think that being said, just, there are some coverage things which we can do sometimes to maybe be a little bit more aggressive, which maybe isn't all on the players, but maybe being a little bit more aggressive in our D zone on the points. I feel like we're giving a little bit too much time and space there. But at the same time, it's I think that it's really, we need to start being, much more aggressive just in a lot of different ways right now. So, I think that Martin St. Louis, he just wants for the best for his team. Just trying to get a response right now.
Yeah, we've said before, the Habs play best when they're fast, when they're aggressive, but we're seeing them play a little too conservative sometimes, and we saw that stark difference against Boston, where the Habs they could barely get a point shot off. The Bruins were so aggressive at just charging at the people on the point, while the Habs were letting point shot after point shot after point shot, and multiple goals tipped past Jake Allen, or that one to Marchand as he deflects it right in front. Like, that's a great point, Jesse. They need to be a little more aggressive. But I think another thing is the team is so young, and so many of the guys on the team are skill guys generally. And look, obviously you need a lot of those guys, but not that many players on this team have that super physical edge. I mean, we saw Kovacevic get a little physical last night, taking a double minor penalty, one for roughing, one for cross-checking. And of course, Goalie is always down and dirty. Xhekaj when he's healthy. Anderson a bit kind of lays the body, but I think just overall, maybe if the guys had a bit more bite to their game, it can improve. And I think you're exactly right. I think Marty, they're harsh words, but they're the right words. And I think if the Habs can be a little more aggressive, we might start seeing a little bit more success. Let's see if it pays off. But let's jump into the final thing. And this is something that Elliotte Friedman said during one of the intermissions last night. And an Oilers Habs trade might be possible. And let's preface this by saying he did say in the tweet, and I'll show you, well, he said on TV, but in the tweet it says that as well, that nothing is imminent. It's not guaranteed, okay? But we've heard the rumors before. In fact, we've been hearing them for weeks. And here's what he said. This is Oilers Access on Twitter. Elliotte Friedman on Saturday Headline said the Oilers are still looking at the goaltender market, and they were in Montreal this week looking at all three of their goalies, Allen, Montembeault, and Primeau. Friedman doesn't believe there's anything imminent. But again, Jesse, like, if you're Edmonton, you have such a slow start to the season. They're starting to pick it up a little bit now, but when you have such a slow start to the season, if you want to make the playoffs, like, these games are not meaningless. A lot of other teams are not going to have these kind of droughts, scoring droughts, winless droughts like the Oilers have had. So climbing back up into that playoff spot is not going to be the easiest thing. Yes, we've seen it before. Look at the Blues when they won the Cup, whatever. But at the same time, as the days go by, the Oilers are probably going to get more and more desperate for a goalie, and you got to think they've been very impressed with what they've seen from the Habs goalies this week.
It's very true. And I think that there's some key factors that will kind of play into whether we do this trade. And I think that some of those main key factors are the standings, where we are, you know, because we want to be a little bit more competitive this year. We're not ready to just kind of throw in the white towel on this year at all. So I think that that's a big factor. There's the return, but I think equally as big of a factor in the return of what we're getting to make this trade happen. And I would argue probably one of the strongest determinants of this is the need for Caden Primeau to get playing time. Mm-hmm. You know, like almost it's like if you're waiting for the perfect trade, but then you're sacrificing the development at one of your players, at what point do you say, okay, well, maybe it's worth it. Let's just take what we can right here. We got two, what it looks like, serviceable goalies right now. Obviously, Caden Primeau, no secret here, is he's the X factor in all this because he's been playing so well. It's kind of opened up for this to possibly happen. And of course, you know, with a younger team, you know, it does make a lot of sense in a lot of ways if we were to go with like a Montembeault, Primeau sort of thing, even though we love Jake Allen. And I love, though, that no team is willing to make like kind of a quick move, because I would be hesitant to trade Jake Allen too, depending on the return we're getting. Why? Because he's played great this year, because he has experience. He offers, you know, a stabilizing effect on our back end. When you have a young decor, having a vet goalie in there, it's a good look. It's a good thing to have, right? So I like that we're taking our time with this, but I mean, you know, I could see something happen definitely sooner than later. If it's not with the Oilers, you have to feel like somebody's going to come knocking.
Yeah, for sure. And you say like all those positives about Jake Allen, you got to think the Oilers are thinking the same thing. I mean, maybe their decor's not as young as the Habs. I don't think many teams are, but at the same time, like having that stabilizing veteran presence in net, and they thought that'd be Jack Campbell. Very unfortunate situation for Jack Campbell right now. He's getting lit up in the AHL too. Just really unfortunate, but they need someone. Stuart Skinner, I think one of their more recent games, went out and put up a .750 save percentage against the Lightning. Like, things are not going well for the Edmonton Oilers goalies, and they need someone to come in and play really well for them, whether that's Montembeault, whether that's Allen. I don't even think it's Monty, because we've heard all the extension talks, but you got to think, Jesse, they're probably going to be willing to put out a decent offer for Jake Allen. And just before we end off the video, this is kind of just spur of the moment. I think we can just talk about this, but like, we've kind of discussed this before, but do you think the Habs could get, like, I mean, I don't know if a first round pick for Allen's going to necessarily work, just because, again, his contract is not that small, right? It's about $2 million, I think a bit more. But do you think the Habs could get something of like solid value in return, even though Allen got 2 years left on his contract? Just because, again, like you said, the thing is the Habs want to get rid of him too to play Primeau, but the Oilers, as we said, day by day, they need to get more and more wins. They might be willing to give up something semi-significant for him.
If that's true, if we could somehow get a 3-team deal, which I feel is probably the most likelihood of this happening, again, if we could do something where we're getting kind of our goalie of the future, would, I think, be the most ideal situation really in all of this. So obviously it wouldn't be coming from the Oilers. They definitely have a lack thereof at this point in time. But I feel like if Kent Hughes could kind of maneuver that with another team where we are getting back another goalie, of course that doesn't solve the 3 goalie problem, but it does solve our issue of searching for a 1A, which I would say is much more of a pressing issue there. But absolutely, but it's like, maybe if we're not getting the first round pick, but it's like, man, if we're getting like a good second round pick, I don't know. Like I'm listening for sure. But obviously for all the reasons I listed earlier, like I'm a big fan of Jake Allen. I haven't thrown in the white towel on this season at all. I feel like he can help this team a lot, which is why I really want to keep him, which I mean, it does help us put us in a good position for leverage when he is playing so well for the most part.
Yeah, 100%. Hey, we've heard rumors too about Xavier will go. You never really know what the Oilers will be willing to give up. A lot of Oilers fans don't want to move him, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, let us know down below. Are you willing to give up Jake Allen at this point, or do you think he provides enough value for this team that maybe Kent Hughes wouldn't want to pull the trigger with the Oilers? Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. But that'll do it for this episode of Habs Digest. If you enjoyed, leave a like, comment, subscribe to the channel. We just passed, I think, 8,600 subs. We're growing every single day, and we have each one of you to thank for it. I'm Josh Gosse for my co-host Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.